Hello, Fuzzy Biker here. Look what we got today. Isn't that a beautiful thing? It is September 24th, 2021. We are out here at Lake Icaria, and this is a 2013 Electra Glide Classic. What a beauty she is. The bike is named the Pearl. She's got a 103 with a 6-speed. She's filthy because I put about 60 miles on her, and the first 35 were in the rain. And that says something about the owner. When I went to pick this bike up, it was raining, and not, hey, do you want to do this another day? But here's the key: go have fun. Bikers love to ride bikes, and this has been a great one to ride. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. We'll talk more about this hot rod later. Yahoo! Alrighty, we are about 100 miles into the ride. We're in Red Oak, Iowa, in kind of an industrial area. There's a pretty interesting building. I tried to get on the other side of it, but where it's pretty interesting, but I couldn't get close enough. Anyway, so let's talk about what the bike is. It's a 2013 Electra Glide Classic. It's got a 103 twin cam, interesting engine, 6-speed, the 6-gear. A lot of people call it an overdrive. And I've driven other bikes with the 6-speed, and this one actually seems to have a lot more pull in 6-gear than the other ones. I don't know why that is. But anyway, dual disc brakes on the front, regular telescopic forks. He's got the road lights, LED light, the batwing fairing. He does have a tour pack for it. It's made to come off, and he likes it off. This bike is belt drive also. The exhaust is Vance and Hines. I will tell you, the exhaust sounds awesome. It's one of the best sounding Harleys I've ever ridden and or been around. It's just a very good sounding. I don't know if there's more detail on that. Just Vance and Hines, it says. There's the rear end of it. But very good sounding motorcycle. It's got a heel shift, which I'm not used to using that, so I've been trying to use that. It's kind of an interesting thing. Some things about this motorcycle. Oh, okay, let's talk about some of the features. It's got a backrest. It's controllable with this knob. I fiddled with that to get it right where I wanted it. Very nice. It's got the, I think it's Harman Kardon stereo. Let's turn it on, maybe it'll tell us. Yeah, Harman Kardon, Harley Davidson. Analog gauges, voltmeter, oil pressure. This says air. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe that's just ambient air temperature. Yeah, maybe not. Fuel gauge. I took it down to about a quarter tank, and I put 3.6 gallons in, so I don't know, it must be about a 5-gallon tank. The bike runs, well, let's talk about that later. Anyway, it's got cruise control, which I just love. I just absolutely love the cruise control. And it's got stereo controls over here. Dual disc brakes on the front, like I said. Mag wheels, beautiful mag wheels. It looks like he has, I think those are Dunlops. They say Harley Davidson on them, probably 401s. That's what I've got on my Harley. But I don't know if this is the stock seat or not. It's a very comfortable seat, holds you in good. This bike has a lot of power. For a 103, it has a lot of pull, you know, for a heavy motorcycle like this. The color, it's a dirty motorcycle because I drove it through 35 miles of rain. First 35 miles was all. That's the fun of it all, right, guys? Anyway, crash bars. So this bike was hit by a truck. He pulled out of a stoplight, and a guy ran the red light and just blasted him, drunk driver. And the bike was next to totaled, I guess. And they put it back together. He wanted it back together, so it's been rebuilt, and it does not drive like it's been hit by a truck. It's a beautiful motorcycle. He also had it lowered. I know the back for sure, and I'm not sure about the front. And the suspension is a little clunky on bumps, and I don't know if that's a result of the lowering or if that's a trait to these motorcycles. But anyway, just a lot. I've had a lot of fun riding it. There's a lot of extras on this bike, you know. Of course, I don't think the grips are stock. Of course, the this kind of thing, you know, the lowering, the pipes were just excellent. The road pegs, road highway pegs. I gotta give those a shot. I haven't used those yet. But see how low the thing sits? Just beautiful motorcycle. A very dirty motorcycle, but beautiful. And by the way, the fairing in the rain did a great job of keeping stuff off of me. So I just loved it. I'm loving it. You know what? I'm gonna go ride some more. Next stop, we'll talk about how it handles, the power, the quirks of the motorcycle, and just what it's like. So, yahoo! Life is good. Let's keep on it rolling. Hey, we're about 220 or 230 miles into the ride. We're in Emerson, Iowa. So a little bit more about this hot rod, the Pearl. So I think I looked up the paint color on this, and this is actually called Pearl Blue. So I don't know if that's where the name came from or not, but the Pearl. So the engine, how does that, we talked about what the engine is, a 103. I don't know the specs on it. I'll look those up and put them below. But she really pulls. Kind of interesting thing, she vibrates a lot up until about 21 to 2300 RPM, 2400 RPM, then she smooths just right out like glass. So you know, shakes and rattles and rolls until you get up to there. Lots of power, very smooth power, especially over 2000 RPM. You know, once you start going, it just rolls. And when you give this thing the juice, when you go through the gears, I think I might have a little clip of that. It just accelerates like mad, especially like roll-on speeds at 50 and on, anything actually. It just, these motors, I am thoroughly sold on twin cam engines. They're beautiful motors, beautiful engines, lots of torque, lots of power, absolutely, just everything absolutely great. And I'm told you can get 100,000 miles out of them pretty easy. But anyway, like I said, you know, just going through the gears, doing whatever you want. It just power to boot, power to spare, and good sounding power too. Very good sounding engine. I love it. The transmission, 6 speeds. I've driven other twin cams, and their 6 gears are always seem weak and very light. This one actually has more power in 6, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a lower geared bike. I don't think it's a lower geared bike. I'm going down the road at 60. I think I'm tacking 2100. The spread of the gears are pretty decent. Work pretty well. It does have a heel shifter. I didn't use it. I don't think it's in a good spot for me anyway. Something about this motor is the clutch. Going up through the gears, the clutch worked great. Downshifting, it seemed rather mechanical, like a switch almost. You pull so far, and then all of a sudden you just clunk. I preload my gears before I shift, before I start on the clutch, so I don't know, maybe you're not supposed to do that when you downshift on a bike like this, but that's what I do. So that's that. The final drive, of course, is a chain, or I'm sorry, the final drive is a belt, and I felt that was incredibly smooth. I just couldn't believe how well that worked. I'm a firm believer in shaft drive, but I would take a belt over a shaft any day, just because of well, they're very smooth. So pretty darn happy with the overall experience on that bike. Hey, Fuzzy here. It's been a long ride. We're about 245 miles into our ride. We went all the way down to Missouri, a bunch of places down there. Didn't get any video because it was raining the whole time, and I didn't want to get off the bike. But the nice thing about this motorcycle is it's got plenty of range. So you know, I'm about due for there's a town about 8 miles away. I'm going to get some fuel there. But lots and lots of rain. 100 miles easy of regular rain, and probably 50 miles of hard rain. But this bike is made for that. I have to give this thing, look at all the dirt on there that he's gonna kill me when I bring it back. But the bike was comfortable, easygoing, great in the rain. This fairing is designed very well, kept it off my body. Look at me, I'm not wet. My legs were a little wet, but my gloves stayed dry. You know, this design here is very good, very efficient for that kind of thing. Very happy about that myself. Yeah, I cannot complain about the weather protection on this bike. This is a bike that everything all together. I really think this is the coffee in LA in the morning, throw your leg over the bike, and 3 days later Boston for supper. This one would do it. This would be the ultimate bike for that. Of the many bikes that I've ridden, I think this is one of the ones that I would grab for that. The comfort, you know, the seat is incredibly comfortable. I don't know if that's stock or not. It looks like it's maybe an extra low seat, but it's got good enough padding. It's not overdone, but it's, I could use a little more, I would think, but it's a very low seat. It's got a good cup. It holds you very well. And then this backrest, which is adjustable. I didn't really think much of those before, but after today, I think they're pretty neat if they work right. I've talked to a lot of guys that have them that say they don't, you know, they don't do anything for them. On this particular motorcycle, I would say that it's a definite plus. Then as far as we've talked about the hands, the cover, as far as where your feet go, they're very large controls, but they work very well. Running boards, I had plenty of place to put my foot. I never once thought, where can I put my feet? You know, and it worked very well. I actually have not, I didn't even try these. On this side, we've got a heel shifter, which I actually have not used. I've tried to, but it just didn't really work for me. What about handling? Well, let's start with your garage, parking lot, things like that. This is what I would call a heavy motorcycle. In the garage, it was a beast. The whole thing, you know, parking lots everywhere. I had to push it around. It's heavy. It's the kind of thing, kind of like with my Shadow, you get used to it over time, but initially, very heavy. As a matter of fact, I will tell you that it took me a good 100 miles to get used to this motorcycle, 120. Just to get the basic, you know, the basic learning curve was hard because of that, for handling wise anyway. Around town, I felt that it was it's heavy, heavier than normal for sure. It took a lot of effort to feel safe on it. You know, I had to be constantly thinking, you know, like I said, it's not my regular motorcycle, it's a very large bike, so it did take a lot of effort to ride it. It had plenty of power. It was relatively smooth. I had a little trouble with the clutch. It's got a different clutch in it than what I'm used to. But anyway, so then pulling out of town and getting on the roads, I thought it handled beautifully on the highways. It was very stable. It was not what I would call nimble or twitchy or anything like that. It will go straight for long periods of time very well, and it won't take a lot of effort on your part to do that. That's, like I said, this would be the ultimate LA to Boston bike. And if you have to drive 3,000 miles, get on this thing. It'll do it for you. I was pretty happy overall. The suspension on this bike was lowered, I believe, in the back. The suspension did not like rough roads. I did almost all my driving has been on back roads on two-lane blacktop. This suspension does not like those kind of, it does like that road. It was very good on that road. I loved it. However, when the roads got rough, this suspension did not perform very well. It beat me up pretty bad, but fortunately, in, you know, the 250 some miles or whatever it's been, that was just a couple spots, not bad at all. In the past, I've rode with Harley riders, and we'll get somewhere and they'll say, you know, boy, that chunk of road is really bad. And I've always thought, well, they don't ride enough, you know. And maybe Harleys are a little rougher in that area. I'm not sure. I've ridden heavier bikes. I've ridden Honda Runes and Gold Wings and things like that. There's something about this one that's unique and different. There's I think there's a little more skill to riding one of these for some reason. Is it worth it? Heck yes, it is. Look at that thing. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Brakes. Let's go jump to another subject. Brakes. I can't say anything good or bad about them. I think they were average. They work well. I'm glad it has dual disc because this is a heavy bike. It's got a disc on the back as well. I can't say they had great feel. They didn't have bad feel. You know, they were not no grab, no grab, no grab, grab. They were there and even, and they worked predictably. So I'm okay with that. I think they're good. It's really been an experience. You know, I've known a lot of people with bikes over the years, lots of different kinds of bikes, and these Harley guys are very proud of their machines, and I can honestly say I see why. They're really something. They're really a beautiful thing, and the sound is phenomenal. I talked about the pipes earlier. Okay, I'm gonna go one more stop. I'm like 100 miles from home. Try to get there. And it looks like it's all sun from here. I got to go to that direction. Look at that beautiful sky. I came from that direction when it was all rain. So I'll catch up with you at the next stop, and I'll give you a wrap up on what we got going here. All right, we are almost 300 miles into the ride. Just a little bit to go to get home. Another probably 20 or 30 miles. Where it's Prairie Rose State Park. See the geese? Beautiful lake here. Anyway, to kind of tie this all up, it's an interesting bike. These beautiful large, this is a heavy motorcycle. It's a heavily handling motorcycle, and it's a heavy bike, and I do not mean that in any disrespect. That is the absolute truth about this kind of a motorcycle. They are big, they are heavy. There's a learning curve to riding one safely, and I just scratched on that today. It took me a good 120 miles to just even begin to feel comfortable on this bike. And I feel comfortable on almost any motorcycle. I can hop on almost anything and go. And this one really got my attention. And I think the reason for that, it's long wheelbase, low ground clearance. I had to get used to the twin cam engine and that clutch, kind of an interesting clutch. The brakes, by the way, the back brake works fabulously. The front brakes work okay. The front brakes are good, but the back brake is fabulous. Very interesting bike. I got probably 150 miles or more of rain ride in this today, so I can tell you the highlights of this motorcycle are that wind, or the this thing, the rider protection, absolutely phenomenal. I stayed so dry mile after mile. I went down into Missouri. My whole ride in Missouri was in the rain, just about, and this thing kept my body dry, kept my hands dry. I just, leg protection was weak, but well, there is none. But it worked fabulously. Another thing about this in that area is the comfort. Very comfortable, lots of room, good leg room, lots of seat comfort. That backrest is an absolute joy, and my hands felt like they're in the right spot. My arms never felt tired. So fabulous there too. The cruise control on this was, every time I ride a bike with cruise, I fall in love with it, and same thing here. And this cruise actually, I think, works better than all the other ones, and I don't know why that is. It works like an old Buick's cruise. It's analog. It doesn't click it and it goes up a mile, click it and it goes up a mile, click it and it goes down a mile. It's click and hold, and it'll pick up speed and then then let go when you get to where you want to go, or the vice versa in the reverse. I didn't have to use the storage, of course, but this bike's got plenty, and he's also got a tour pack for it. I didn't have to use the lights. I don't like riding at night, and but I have a feeling that this bike would light up the world, with those lights. It's got big tires. It's got everything on this bike is just big. Big handling, big everything. Oh, and something else, the sound of this thing from the seat, this bike sounds phenomenal, and a lot of people were looking, and a lot of people were waving, and I gotta think that I think these are Vance and Hines. I said, yeah, Vance and Hines pipes. It's just a very good sounding pipe, very impressive. My conclusion on this bike is, it's a special thing. It's not. I wouldn't get this as a first bike by any length of the imagination. I would, if you get a bike like this, you should get out there and ride it literally several thousand miles in the first month or two, just to get the idiosyncrasies of this particular product under control, because it does have some unique characteristics, and I mean that in a good way, but this bike in particular, I'm not saying it's dangerous or anything. I'm saying it's got some unique handling characteristics that are unique to this particular kind of motorcycle. It's a fabulous looking bike. Oh, anyway, I could just pine for hours on it. To its owner, I appreciate you lending me the Pearl. She's a beautiful thing. You know that. I know what else is in your garage. You know what a great way to spend the day, even in the rain. Fabulous day in the rain. How's that, huh? Hey y'all, get out there and ride. Life is good. Enjoy it while you can. Look at that view, huh? Look at that gorgeous view. Wahoo! Get out there and ride.